following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
Hey everyone, and welcome to 50 Shades of Bullshit. I'm your host, Christine Lalonde, and this is the podcast where we uncover the truth about online dating. Now let's begin. Hey everyone, I'm Christine.
Hey, I'm Jada.
And this is 50 Shades of Bullshit.
Hi. Look at that lovely background.
I'm at Lena's house this week.
I mean, it's
Janice is in town helping me move, and she's staying at Lena's while she's out of town. I'm sweating and I feel like a Southern belle because Janice gave me her fan. I'm like,
But you know what? I'm a little jealous.
Oh man, we wish you were here
with my angels.
Did you see our post the other day? We had drinks and dinner.
I saw that with Barry and Jackie and everyone, but Jada,
and Sarah, but Jada was not here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's your problem, Jada?
I don't know. I didn't know you were doing that.
Well, Janice decided to come into town at the last minute and help me move because I'm losing my marbles with this move. Yeah. And I'm so displaced. Last week I was at, my job at their office doing the podcast. This week I'm at Lena's because Janice is staying here. And so I'm a little discombobulated. I will be in my new place on Sunday, but there's a lot to do in one day. So Janice came to help me move, and then she's going to help me unpack this next week. And it's so exciting. I love it.
Well, I could have done that too, to hang out with my close friends, but
you should have. Well, you should come out next week. We're going to be unpacking my house.
Let me just book a ticket for 5 days.
Hop right over. I know. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
So, Janice's love language is giving.
She's so sweet. I wish she would just pop in. She's so sweet. Like, first of all, I just want to say, and I don't want to start this off on a bad note or sad
you can start
note.
It off on any fucking note you want.
But you two have been so amazing.
Aww.
When you know that I lost a friend who is so near and dear to my heart, and I went through this whole just mourning, and you guys have been with the group texts and the messages. I just want to say thank you, and I hope she can hear me. But you guys are.
Jada is saying that you and I are the absolute shit. That we have been so great to her through the texts and the messages. Say hi, everyone, to Janice.
Go this way.
There she is. Janice is here. Look at her cute face and her little blonde hair.
She's so cute.
So thank you, Jada. We
thank you guys. It's been.
We love you.
It was hard, and Christine, we talked and cried, and thank you. I just want to say thank you. But okay, so anyway,
I got your back, girl. That's my MO. I got my friends' back. I try to be there for people who need me.
I mean,
or who need something.
You're definitely there. So thank you.
You're welcome. I appreciate that. Well, life is pretty good, other than my landlords deciding they could make more money, so they're
stupid.
Out.
There's that.
And my daughter going through it, feeling like she's been displaced and upset that she's leaving the house that she really likes, and she's so close to school, and all of her friends get to come over. And I told her it'll be the same thing, just a little bit further away, and didn't make her happy. But we did get the condo that she really liked. But
she doesn't have to change schools. She could stay at the same school.
She stays Mm-hmm.
All right,
So that's good. We are, we're cruising along, and we get in on Sunday, and I have really good friends who are helping me move, and Janice is going to stay and help me unpack, which is to me the biggest part, because unpacking is daunting, and
yeah.
I'm kind of looking forward to it for the first time ever, because she's there to help me decorate.
Oh, I'm sad.
I know you need to come out.
Okay, let me just fly from DC to California ASAP.
We're going to look at some flight stuff. Because you can work from anywhere.
That's true. But also, super exciting news in your industry.
Mm-hmm.
The writer's strike
Yes.
is over. I mean, I know the actors are still negotiating, but
Negotiating. Mm-hmm.
the writers,
We needed something to break, because
yeah.
we were really. I'm on a lot of Facebook groups for the entertainment business, and it's just so sad to see everybody suffering and scared to lose their houses and not make any money in jobs, and it's precarious time anyway. So yeah, I'm really glad. I hope that they got everything they wanted and needed out of it. And the same thing with the actors. I feel very adamant about what the actors are looking to do, like with, securing their jobs with this fucking AI stuff. And the second I saw the AI was doing all this stuff, I thought, ooh, people are going to start getting screwed.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
We're going to strike. That's what we're going to do.
There you go.
So, yeah. So anyway, we are doing great. I have a big event, wedding down in San Diego this week. So as soon as the show is over, I'm driving down to Dana Point to stay with Christian for the night. And then I have a wedding this weekend in San Diego. And then the following week, I'm in Northern California for a wedding. So I'm all over the place.
Lovely. Booked and busy.
I know.
And busy. That's good.
I have some good news here.
Yes.
We have a repeat offender today.
Wait, what?
a repeat guest.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
Yay!
I'm excited about today's guest.
Yes. We have Christina Morelli with us. She was on not too long ago. Like 3 or 4 weeks ago she was on, and she's back today talking about what she was telling us about last time, modern love languages. So we're all familiar, well, most people are familiar or have heard of the basic 5 love languages that are out there. And so I'm really excited, and my interest is piqued on what these new modern love languages are. I'm excited to hear about it. I think I told you last week. I hate repeating myself, but did I tell you last week on the show that my producer checked with iHeartRadio to see how many downloads that we had?
Yeah.
And in 17 days, we had 10,000 downloads just from iHeartRadio. So people are actually listening, and that is so exciting. I can't believe it. I mean, we're just on here having fun.
Well, I've always been like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. I don't know what to say. Like, what if I'm not good enough? And you're like, girl, just go with that shit.
Just say whatever the fuck you want.
That's what you say.
Pretty much. I do want to say that next week was supposed to be the advocacy for love scamming. And it's the prevention week next week. Unfortunately, they can't make it. So we're going to come up with something else. Oh, next week, I think we're going to do an episode kind of correlating with Janice about horrible texts that men send.
Oh my God.
The worst texts that people can send.
I just coached a few male clients on this. So
that's great. So next week we're going to do an episode with her, and then it's going to air on her podcast as well.
Yeah.
And then on the 19th, I'm going to jump ahead a little. On the 19th, I'm super excited. It is our 100th episode, and we are having a handful of previous hosts and previous guests on.
Yay!
And to celebrate with us. We're going to have a big party, and we're all going to have like drinks, and we're going to play the shots game. We're going to have 3 words that if they're repeated, we have to take shots. So we're going to get wasted.
And you're not a drinker, so that will be...
It's going to be fun.
That will be a vibe.
It will be a vibe.
Okay.
We should do something where we have to get high one time too.
Well, that's a little outside of my arena, but I'm all here for it.
All right. All right. Well, Christina Morelli is here. Let's bring her on. Let's talk about these love languages that we are fascinated about. Hello, girlfriend.
Hello, you two. Hi. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah. Can you scooch to your left a little?
This way?
Yep. So we can see your face, because right now your title is covering your mouth.
Okay,
there
great.
you are.
It's reversed on my screen. It looks like it's covering my face right now. So I appreciate you letting me know.
Yes. So welcome back. We're
Thank
happy to
you.
have you.
Me too.
Every time I say welcome back, I always think of that Welcome Back Carter show from the 70s and 80s. Welcome back.
Totally aging
Welcome
yourself.
back. Welcome back.
You're aging yourself.
I always age myself. I'm proud to look like this at my age.
Yes.
How many other
Agreed.
55-year-old grandmothers say they look like as young as I do?
I don't know many.
I don't
But
know
I'm
many
saying you got
either.
it. You got it.
I saw
Yeah.
pictures of my granny at my age. Woo. She was old looking.
Yeah.
She looked like a granny.
They
She
don't have the
looked like
beauty
a granny.
products back then that we
Right.
do today.
Yeah, they didn't take care of themselves the same.
Yeah.
So welcome.
Thank
Christina.
you. Well, thank you.
So let's just dive in.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we have plenty of time for this. Tell us what's different between the 5 basic love languages that we already know. Let's say them. And then tell us the difference between what you're talking about and that. And then I'd love to go into what they are.
Yeah, let's do it. So
Okay.
the 5 love languages are touch, words of
Yep.
affirmation,
Mm-hmm.
quality time,
Yep.
acts of service,
Yep.
and gift giving.
Yep. I need to find more gift givers. Okay. So how are these love languages different from the ones you're about to talk about?
Yeah. So you said it in the title. These are modern love languages, the ones I'm going
Mhm.
to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
These initial 5 love languages were established, I think, in like 1992 by a man named Gary Chapman.
Okay.
And it was really groundbreaking in a lot of ways to understand that we receive and give love in different ways. So how we receive love isn't always how we give love. There are a lot of people who give love through gift giving, but really the way that they receive love is through touch, for example, or words of affirmation.
Okay.
And the reason why modern love languages are so important is because our society is changing, our culture is changing. We now have gender fluidity that's being more acceptable. We have the LGBTQIA, which is more commonly expressed and accepted amongst each other, for the most part. And the reason why I bring this up is because the initial 5 love languages were built on the idea of marriage of heterosexual couples, and how we show love, how people show love is so different. There are more than 5 languages in the world, right? So why would there only be 5 love languages? And what the modern love languages do is really tap into the nuances of how we interact with each other and how we actually receive love. So I'm really excited to tell you about some different love languages. There isn't a book on this or anything, but
Maybe we should do that.
Maybe there is a book. I actually haven't looked.
TM. We're trademarking it for you right now.
Okay.
It's Christina's. Everything that's being said in this, if somebody else comes out and writes this shit, I'm coming after you.
Yeah. So. Well, if Christine says it, it is true.
Yes,
it is law abiding.
This is yours.
Thank you. I appreciate the consideration. I will give some kickbacks.
No problem. You can sponsor the show.
Yes, there you go. The reason why I bring up the timing is because I personally think that they are still applicable, but relatively outdated, especially with how much things have changed.
I think that people are super confused about love languages. They think, oh, well, I like quality time. I like touch. I like gifts, things like that. But then they're taking their love languages and they're giving those love languages to somebody else. Correct. But that somebody else's love language is different. So they're giving their love languages to you. And sometimes it's not quite fitting.
Right.
So I think that people get confused. They think, oh, well, I like to give gifts. That's my love language. But they're not really receiving gifts. They're not wanting those themselves. They want, like you said, maybe quality time.
Exactly.
And so it's a confusion between what you're giving and what you're wanting.
Exactly.
And what you're getting.
Yeah.
It's like a 3-lane road that is like not meshing.
Yes, correct.
Well, but I also think that people, at least in my work and the clients I talk to, I think that they confuse it with their, like, when I say, what's your love language, and they're like, oh, I love blah, 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 blah. And I don't think that they think of it from a perspective of, this is about how you love someone, like what that language is for how you love versus what you like, how you are. And people get confused because they don't get it.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think there's 3 basic steps to the original 5. How you want your love languages, how you get your love languages, and how you're giving your love languages.
Well said.
And it's all fucked up.
They don't understand the different channels.
Right.
They're slightly siloed.
Yeah.
And another big part of the confusion is that it is so general. And there's so many more specific ways that we show and express our love. And it's not only applicable to romantic partnerships. That's another thing that the book is based on, is that these are the love languages between 2 romantic partners. When I like to also consider that we share and show love to platonic relationships as well. And they don't always fall in the realm of touch, quality time, gifts, and acts of service and words of affirmation.
We got kids, we got friends, we got family, we got coworkers, we got a lot of intertwining relationships that I get what you're saying.
Yes. And a good question based off of what the both of you were talking about around the confusion is, let's imagine you went to a different country and you went somewhere and they didn't speak your language at all. How would that make you feel? Like, what are some experiences you anticipate you would feel in a situation where you weren't able to communicate at all?
That can make you feel a little scared, a little lost, confused, frustrated, annoyed, that you can't grasp what they're saying, what they can't grasp what you're saying. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it can also make people feel isolated and misunderstood. And I think misunderstood is probably the most common thing that I hear in my clients, is like, they just don't understand me, or they don't get me, or I feel like they're confused about what I'm asking for. And oftentimes it's because people are trying to equate how they receive love into, or automatically assuming that it's how the other person also wants to receive love, versus really specifically delineating the differences between the 2. Yeah.
When I first heard about love languages, I connected with it and I was like, oh yeah, I see exactly what I am. But I didn't realize that other people had different ones. I mean, I guess I got that other people had different ones, but I didn't realize I'm supposed to give them theirs, not give them mine.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? This is complicated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we communicate in so many different ways. We have our verbal communication. We use our hands, as I'm doing right now. We have our body language, facial expressions. We have written communication technology, so texting. We even have energetic communication. You know, it could be somebody's modern love language that you're only positive vibes. And that makes me feel good and loved when you're not always bringing the sadness or the downness to our relationship. Yeah.
So how many do you think there are, in your opinion, of modern love languages?
I think it's infinite because it's extremely personalized to each person, but I have a list of some that I will happily give examples of.
Awesome.
But that doesn't mean it's limited to just these things. The intent is that you take these as examples and then try to ask yourself questions around what are more nuanced ways that I get my love buckets filled and that my partner or my coworker, friend, family all get their love buckets filled.
I see the cover of your book.
Is it love buckets?
Yeah, with
hearts
the bucket
overflowing
and all these and she's pouring all the in.
Oh,
yeah, I see it, girl. Okay, let's do this.
All right. So some examples are accountability. So somebody taking accountability, active listening, active empathy, emotional labor. So taking on some of the emotional burden of a partner. I feel that's for me a love language.
Yeah.
Another love language that's personal for me is that you do what you say you're going to do. That is a love language for me.
That's also a character flaw with some people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Engaging experiences, right? So you get to have really fun, memorable experiences together. Touch, of course, already falls in the 5 buckets, but it's still a very important one. Problem solving, I think, is a great love language. If somebody can hear what's going on in your world and they have the ability to offer a solution, to me, that's caring and loving.
Well, most men, I think, are on that page anyway. They like to fix things, and I think establishing yourself in a relationship, especially with a woman and a man, in the very beginning, would be, saying, hey, I'm going to have some issues and I don't want you to fix them. I just want you to listen to them. And if I need you to fix them or come up with solutions, I'll say it.
Yeah.
I think those kind of things, that type of communication is important.
It's vital. It's vital. That is, again, another way that couples or just any interpersonal relationship often miscommunicate. And frustration happens and misunderstanding happens whenever I'm trying to vent and somebody's trying to provide me solutions. And I'm like, I just want to complain about it. I will let you know if I want some options. So instead of being received from that active listening. So that goes into the active listening one I just listened. That is that is a form of love language to me that you are, especially if you're able to decipher between when I need to vent and when I need problem solving. If you're that in tune, so being in tune with my partner so deeply that they're able to really anticipate that can be a love language. I don't have it on my list, but now it is.
I tend to tell Christian, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. I have to vent. Once I'm done, I'm done. I don't need help. I just need to vent. And then there's sometimes I'll come to him and say, I need a different perspective on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good. I like that you have the self-awareness to be able to state it up front, where oftentimes people don't, especially if they are so heated or emotionally charged. Right. And then it's helpful for the other partner to ask the question, like, what do you need right now? Do you need me to light my torch and burn this place down? Do you need me, do we need to provide solutions? Do you just want me to ignite your flame more? What do you need? So some other examples is solidarity, right? So the united front, loyalty,
Having my
trust.
back.
Having my back. Undivided attention, which probably falls into quality time. Need for autonomy. I love that.
Okay, tell us what that is.
So a need for autonomy is that I respect that you have your own personal needs that are outside of this relationship. And maybe that you enjoy having alone time. Maybe you enjoy going dancing and I don't enjoy going dancing. So I want you to have the space and freedom to do the things that fulfill you the most, despite me being interested in it or not.
I think that for me, in my mind, I see that as a level of trust. When someone's in a solid relationship and you're trusting the other, them going out and spending time with their friends or going dancing or doing something without you doesn't make you feel like you're missing something or that they're doing something behind your back, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Or that you don't have to do everything all the time together.
Right.
But do you ask in the beginning of a relationship, do you say, like, what is your love language? How do you love? How do you receive love? How do you give love? Like, do you ask that? I say this because, of course, that's like my job with my clients. But people that are in relationships, Christine, fan away.
Must be having a hot flash or something.
Like, is this something that... And you know what? Rebel just said a great thing. If people don't know their love language,
I think that comes with communication. So by saying what makes me here's my thought, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Jada or Christine, because I'm not the professional in this. I just life experienced. For me, it's always been, what fulfills you, what makes you happy. And when they start saying things like, "Oh, I really like my alone time," there are a lot of guys are like that. I like my alone time, but I am really good about sharing my time with you as well. That tells you that they like quality time. Or I love to take someone out for dinner, and but that's a love language, and that's how you discover what those love languages are. I think, to answer what Rebel was asking. And personally, I do think that they change a little within a relationship, but your core isn't going to change. I think your core needs will not change, but I think that needs within a relationship will. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It absolutely makes sense.
Absolutely. In my work, and some of the conversations I have with clients, I'll say to them, like, how do you give love and how do you like to receive love? And they may say, great. I love gifts. I love pay attention to me. So this to me tells me, okay, well, your love language is XYZ. And I think that's a conversation that couples should have, or new relationships, people in new relationships should have, because the way that I love you and I like to receive that love may be completely different from like what you're used to and how you would want to love me. So I think that's huge.
Now, Rebel asks, do you have different love languages and different relationships? Personally, my love languages are never different with anyone. My love languages are my love languages. I want quality time with my kids. I want quality time with my boyfriend. I want quality time with my friends. Touch, even. I want to hug my kids. I want to hug my boyfriend. I want to hug my friends. I think that my core needs are going to be the same. But when it comes down to different relationships, like what we were saying, like between kids and coworkers and friends and family and love, your romantic love, I think those are different in how you kind of give.
Fair.
Am I right? Or what do you think?
Me personally, it's not that it necessarily changes. It's which ones are stronger in the relationships. So I receive love from all of the love languages depending on my relationship with the person. So for example, with family or with coworkers, a love language of mine is respecting my boundaries when I state them, hearing the boundaries that I'm stating and respecting them without pushing back, right? So that is a love language that I have that's really important for me in my platonic relationships. For friendships, a love language for me is initiation of communication or plans. Right? It doesn't always have to be, but my love language with my partner is very much touch. Like, we don't have to talk if we're just going to cuddle. That's enough communication for me personally to feel full. But what you were, if I may just go back to the one question of how do we figure out the core traits and love languages, a couple of, it's very in line with what you were saying, Christine, is think about what feels good to you and what feels challenging to you. Right. So like what goes straight to your no list, what goes straight to your hell yeah, I want more of that list. And then it's really important to notice how your body feels and how your mind feels when you hear each other. And then you get to note when your body is in a full yes and also when your body is in a I don't know. So maybe, but it also really helps you get clear on like, I actually had a client who told me that they said what's important to them is that when they provide advice, that their partner heeds that advice. And that is a love language for them, but that doesn't fall into the 5, right? But that makes them feel really prized and appreciated and loved and cared for. And like they're actually offering something to a relationship. So being able to recognize what makes you feel really, really good is a form of a love language for you.
I think that when I first heard about love languages and what they meant and how they were, I always thought that there was so much more nuances to it than what that was, because I was thinking, I like gift. Who doesn't want to be given a gift?
Yeah.
So like, why isn't that everybody's love language? Do you know what I mean? It's like you like to spend time with the person you're with. So isn't that technically, you know what I mean? And I also thought that there were more deeper ways of expressing those things than just like what you're saying, Christina, is there are all these other nuances.
Yeah. And the gift giving, for example, when my partner buys me a gift, I love it. But some people buy me gifts and I'm like, what do you want? It's like, when's the other shoe going to drop? So it also does depend on the relationship I have with the person and what they're offering. I think that is another nuance in the intricacies of being a human in our complex existence and experience.
Yeah.
Do you have more on your list?
I do. Personal growth. I think personal growth is a great love language. When my partner or anybody who I really care about is doing the things that help them develop and grow as a person, I find that to be loving in a way, or supports my own personal growth. Positive energy. We talked about how we communicate energetically. If I need a hype man, can you be my hype man? If I need someone to entertain my pettiness whenever I'm having a moment, like that is great. Like show up for me in those ways. Initiation is a huge one for me. I love it when people initiate things on their own without me having to tell them. And then
can we talk to children of the world about that?
Sure. And the last one that I have that I already mentioned is respecting boundaries. It's really important for me.
Yeah, I think respecting boundaries might really be within, friends, family, coworkers, people you don't maybe have bigger relationships with.
Yeah.
Dating, it's hard to establish those when you're dating. When you're like seeing several people in your process of elimination, when you're getting to know people, when you're not in a relationship, I think that it is really difficult sometimes to express how to set boundaries with people. And I think people just see someone crossing a boundary that you've never established, and then they cut and run.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a lot of people who have been in long-term relationships that are constantly disrespecting each other's boundaries. And I think it's a lack of self-awareness, in my opinion. But one thing that you were also saying that reminded me of something else that I consider to be a love language is, where was I going with this? Consideration, in the sense of both from partner and platonic, romantic and platonic, is asking my consideration of, is this something that you would want to do, versus just assuming that this is something I want to do, when, especially in the workplace. That to me is so important, that somebody, instead of just demanding I work on a project, check in, see what my capacity is, take into consideration all the other things I have on my plate. Is this something I even want to do? Is there a way for me to work in a team? Right. So like having those more detailed conversations that lead to consideration and consent. Consent is a huge love language for me. Are really important aspects of how I feel loved. When somebody asks me versus tells me, I feel loved.
I love that. I remember the first time that someone asked me if they could kiss me instead of just doing it. I was all like, oh, they really like me. You know what I mean?
Really
I was
sweet.
like, oh my gosh, it was the sweetest thing ever.
Yeah.
My daughter says that her boyfriend, their newly boyfriend, girlfriend, she's like, he always asks me if he can hold my hand or kiss
That's
me.
so
She's like,
good.
all the time he asks me, because it's a little much sometimes. And I said, honey, that is his way of showing respect and love to you. Honor that and accept it for what it is.
Yeah. I'll never forget the first time. It's kind of a funny story. I was dating this guy, and it was really my first encounter with like full on consent. And I remember feeling how weird it was. I was like, this is so weird. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. But then, like, in hindsight, I'm so grateful for that experience, because now that I'm aware of the full extent of how consent shows up in our lives, I'm like, thank you for doing that. But the experience was like, we were making out on his bed, and he was like, can I take your pants off? And I'm like, yeah. And then he was like, we were making out where he's like, can I take your shirt off? I'm like, yeah, what are you doing? Just do it. And he was like, I want to make sure. And like,
good for him.
Good for him, because I was thinking, like, now that I have this information and awareness, like, shame on me, right? But also, you don't know what you don't know until you know it.
Right.
But do you think that women put more of an emphasis on love languages than men? Because I have male clients that I work with, and they're like, Jada, honestly, I don't care about a love language. Like, it's either like, this is what it is.
They do care subconsciously about how they're treated and what women do or don't do for them. So they may think that they're not into the frou-frou love language thing, but notice I did air quotes, but they're saying that, Jada, but they honestly, if every one of those guys, I think if you ask them, well, how would you feel if you wanted to spend more time with her and she was distant and wasn't into it? Dude, that's a love language that you fucking care about. Exactly. I had an ex that liked the, pat me on the back, tell me how I'm doing kind of thing. That is words of affirmation that I wasn't aware of. I didn't understand it. He cared about that. It's his love language. And if I'd known to respect that, I wouldn't have known. So I don't think these men understand that it's a way of receiving and giving in a relationship that honors the other person and themselves.
And love languages are I guess, considered more on like the psychology of emotion. And of course, men are like, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I promise you, if they're in a relationship with a partner and that partner is mothering them constantly and telling them what to do and nagging and not giving them any freedom to show up the way that they need to, because that partner doesn't trust them to show up when they say they're going to do something, like trust is a love language. And they're going to find that out because they're going to get annoyed. And that goes back to, how are you feeling? If something is bothering you, what is the antithesis of that? That could be one of your love languages to support you.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So Jada, what do you tell them when they're like, oh, I don't care about those love languages? Was that a pretty good imitation of a guy?
Yes. Yes. Perfect.
I think Jada's frozen. Hold on a
She
second.
might be.
I think she's frozen.
What would you say, Christine?
That you're full of shit.
Bullshit.
Yeah, I honestly would say, yeah, actually, hold on, bud. Let's talk about this. What's important to you that someone gives or don't gives you? Do you like gifts? Do you like it when a woman touches your arm and hugs you? Do you like to cuddle? Because men say all the time, when I was dating, men would say all the time, do you like to cuddle? I love to cuddle. And that's touch.
Yep.
So it's, so I think Jada's back. Are you back, Jada?
She's back.
I think your connection is lagging. She might have to log on and log back on.
That's
log
okay.
off and log back on.
When you were talking about gifts and like, do you like to receive gifts? I just thought of how good I feel when my partner is able to receive a gift from me. So even people being able to receive is a love language to me.
I think so.
Yeah.
So hi, Jada. You're back. So we were asking you, what do you say to your clients when they're like, oh, love languages don't matter? Is she there?
Oh, I think freezing.
Darn it.
Mm.
Okay, we lost her for a second. That's okay.
I have a feeling she does what you said, is walking them through hypothetical scenarios.
Yeah.
And points out to them, like, let's think about this a different way. Let's approach this from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Where it's in a logical way that makes sense for them.
I think that kind of answers one of Rebel's questions for us. She said, how do people get down to and recognize their their core traits?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, care traits? Core traits. And I think it's all about, again, the most important love language of all is communication.
Preach.
I think the number one love language should be titled communication. So when you are having a conversation like, what gives you pleasure? What brings you annoyance? What makes you happy? And as far as core traits, that are things like, do you show up for people? Do you show up for things on time? Are you perpetually late? Do you respect people's time by showing up on time? Have you ever cheated? If you have, how did it make you feel? Because we know how it made the other person feel. How did it make you feel? And did you learn and grow from it? Have you changed? Would you ever do it again? So I think that figuring out core traits is by asking questions and feeling them out. And right?
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. Core traits is like, what do you value? What do you prioritize in other people? Because likely that's what you prioritize and value in yourself. The same way you project your issues onto other people. I feel like it's the same thing. You project your core values onto other people in those ways. Like if you are a person of integrity, you're only going to be attracted to people with integrity. If you are somebody who is nurturing and loving, then you're going to be attracted to people who are also nurturing and loving, or at least want to receive a level of nurture and love. It doesn't mean you have to be the same person, because that's boring, right? Womp womp. But, can you find complementary aspects that really support each other's core traits that you were talking about? Okay, Jada, are you back? Because we have a question we keep. Okay, she's back. Go for it, Christine. We only got a few minutes.
You were saying, that you had guy clients that were saying, "Oh, I don't care about love languages." What do you do with them? What do you say to them? How do you guide them?
Well, anyone that I work with, I tell them it's so important to know how you view love, how you receive love, how you want to be given love, how you want to be shown love. And with men, I share that same sentiment, and I tell them, well, I was just talking to someone today, and I'm like, that's not acceptable. Like, what do you view as love in your past marriage? How did you want to be loved? What was lacking? How did you view love? How did you want to be loved? Like, that's what the whole core value in the system of love languages is about. And it takes a little finessing with men a little bit. Sorry, guys. Sorry, fellas, if you're out there.
Though.
What I like about what you're saying is it's like, what did you like and what didn't you like about past relationships? And the things that you didn't like, this goes back to the last conversation we had the last time I was on, which is find the reverse of what you don't like. And that is what you figure out what you do want and like, which likely is associated to a love language.
Exactly.
Right.
And men, to be fair, they don't necessarily love the idea of being coached. So I have to tell them, like, let's talk about a new strategy. Let's have a strategy session.
That's a good word for the guys. That's a great word for guys.
Because
strategy.
they don't want to hear, let me coach you on this.
Goals.
Let me give you feedback on this. They want different verbiage because they don't.
It's the same thing, different verbiage.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what I missed, but I'm sure it was golden.
We were just talking about, how I was saying the number one love language is communication. And a lot of people think, oh, what does communication really mean? But communication is just like you were saying, Christina, the ability to listen, the ability to take it in, the ability to communicate back by saying what you think and feel, and being open to receiving how the other person receives it.
Curiosity. I love that.
Yeah.
Openness, open-minded, having curiosity, all of that. That's what I'm saying. That's why those 5 are so limited.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I think there's also nuances to, like, some people would think gift giving. I think some guys would be turned off by gift giving, thinking that it means diamonds and jewelry and cars and trips. And those things are wonderful. Don't get me wrong. I want those too. But it's little things like Christian knows my favorite candy and he gets them for me, or he knows my favorite drink and he will grab it and bring it home. He knows what my favorite show is, so he'll turn it on.
Being in tuned. Yes.
It is little things as well as the big things.
Yes.
I will say this, and then I know we have only a limited amount of time, but a lot of my clients, it's more about the acts of service. Like, it's more about, it's not when people say, oh, I love gifts. It's not about the gift. It's more of like the act of service. Like, pay attention to what I like. If you see something that I love and you bring it home to me, that's amazing.
Right.
So that's a lot of the work that I do with the clients that I work with, especially men, because they're like, oh, I bought her perfume. I'm like, does she even like perfume? Like, pay attention. Like, it's,
I had a boyfriend give me perfume that he liked, and I don't wear it because I'm allergic to perfume.
See?
And I just said, thank you. And I would put it on something that I was wearing, very little, just enough for him to smell it, but enough to where it didn't kill me. And it's not about, for me, it wasn't about him giving a gift to me. It was, he needed to do that. It was his way of showing me something, and I accepted it. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like that. I didn't want that. You wanted your person to give a fuck about you, and that's what they were doing.
That's what's important.
But also at the same time, if they keep giving a fuck about you in all the ways that you don't receive
Yeah,
giving a fuck about.
Yeah. True story.
It's like at a certain point, we need to have a conversation, but maybe be considerate of the timing of that conversation is what I'll say.
Exactly.
Don't do it right when they're giving you a gift.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And on that note, we are out of time. We might actually end on time today. Christina,
Yes.
thank you for coming back.
Thank you.
We're going to have you back in like 3 weeks when we have our 1 year and our 100th.
Well, I haven't
month.
been on this an entire year, but I'm celebrating with you. Woo,
That's
woo.
right. We're having a lot of previous people come back, and we're going to have a big party. So be
Yeah.
prepared to enjoy that show with us. We're going to have you back again, I think, in November too.
Yep.
So thank you for being here. And
Thank
to all of
you.
our listeners, thank you for coming every week and hanging out with us. Hopefully you learn and get something from this. And Jada, love you. And
I love you.
until next week, same time, same place, let's keep it real.
Bye, Ready.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends, like and follow us on Instagram at 50 Shades of _bullshit and Facebook at 50 Shades of Bullshit. Thanks so much for listening, and we really hope to see you again next week.